Shalom. We've come together this very sacred day to mourn the passing of Josephine Spence, Yosefa Bat Sarah Ve'Eliyahu, and also to honor her life. It is a complicated thing in our tradition to observe the last rites for a loved one on a festival day. It is the second day of Pesach, it's Yom Tov, but in a way it's something that whenever we lose someone, on the one hand we're extremely sad and we're mourning the loss and we're in pain, and yet we also have an obligation to celebrate the life that they lived. So we have to try to balance those two things together today. We'll do our best. We'll do our best. I am the rabbi of Valley Stream Jewish Center, and Josephine was a beloved and devoted member of our community for many, many years. I'll give a little background later on. But I'm very, very honored to serve as her rabbi on this very sacred day. Her whole family are very, very beloved, precious members of our synagogue family. In our tradition, we're taught that we have two things we're trying to do when we lose a loved one. We try to give them as much honor and love as we can. Right since she passed away, her body has been treated with great respect and love, and washed carefully and dressed in the traditional white shrouds of purity, representing the fact that, like Yom Kippur, our passing is an atonement and forgiveness and purification for the next life. So we'll do everything we can to give as much honor and respect and love as we can to Josephine. And we also view everything we do today, the rituals that we observe, the words that we speak, as a final act of love for our loved one. Chesed shel emet. Chesed shel emet. And we'll do our best to be guided by those principles and to observe them to the best of our ability. One of the ways we give honor, the very ancient tradition to give honor, is to accompany our loved one on her final journey. In fact, the Jewish word for a funeral, levaya or halvaya, means to accompany, right? To accompany, and that's what we'll be doing. In Kabbalistic tradition, it even parallels the journey of the soul into God's ultimate embrace. And we are sort of accompanying her on that sacred journey, but also, and we'll do it very, very slowly. If it weren't the festival day, we would stop 7 times, both indicative of the 7 heavens through which her soul is traveling into God's embrace. But it's not customary to do that on festival days, but we will walk very, very slowly, indicative of the fact that we are very, it's very difficult to part with someone who's been such a beloved and respected member of our family and our community, and played such a central role in our lives. So I will ask her children to walk ahead, walk right behind Josephine, and I will be chanting a few verses from the Psalms as we do that. Hold this together and we'll begin, and then it's close. יושב בסד עליון בצר שדי יתלונן, אומר לאדוני מחשיב ותפארתי, אלוהי אפתח בו, הוא יצילך מפח יכוש מדבר הבאות, בעברתו יסך לך ותחת כנפיו תחסה, שנאה וסחרה עמיתו. For you who dwell in the shelter of the Most High God and abide in the protection of El Shaddai, we say, Lord, you are my refuge and my stronghold, my God in whom I trust. May God shelter you, may you find refuge. May God keep you forever and ever.
get you over to this side over here. Come in a little more. Some of us can go over here in that area with the pot there. Some of us we can't follow
I'm trying to really get closer, just like on the other side of the arm.
Holy One, you sustain the living with your love. You give life to the dead with your great mercy. You keep faith with all those who sleep in the earth. You are sovereign of life and death and salvation. Praised are you, O Lord, who gives life to the dead. To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under heaven. This time of loss and mourning is a complicated time, filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We'll begin our service reciting psalms and prayers and teachings, linking Josephine's life with the age-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. In the words of Kohelet, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven. There's a time for rejoicing and a time for weeping, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. את ללדת ואת למות, את לבכות ואת לסחוב, את שיחות ואת ריקות, את לחשות ואת לדבר. From the wisdom of Ben Sirach. Should I go on? Yes. We are all destined to die. We share this with all who ever lived and with all who ever will be. Cry for the dead. Hide not your grief. Do not restrain your mourning, but remember that unending sorrow is worse than death. When the dead are at rest, let their memory become a source of peace, and let us seek consolation when the soul has departed. Let us not seek to understand what is too difficult for us, nor search for what is hidden, nor be preoccupied with what is beyond, for we have been shown more than we can comprehend. As a drop of water in the sea and as a grain of sand on the shore are our few days in eternity. The good things in life last but a short time, but a good reputation or a good name, Shem Tov, endures forever, as in the teaching of Rabbi Shimon. 3 crowns have been given in this world, the crown of monarchy, of priesthood, and of Torah, but the crown of a good name excels them all. The Keter Shem Tov ole al gabei. A I usually ask the family if they think the words of the poem, the Woman of Valor, are appropriate, but I didn't even ask this time. Eshet Chayil Mimsa V'Rachok Mipeninim Michra Batach Balev Bala V'Shalal Lo Echsar Kimaltuto V'Lo Ra Kol Yemei Chayeha. A woman of valor is priceless, a treasure more precious than pearls. An unfailing asset to her family, she assures them a life of contentment. Eager, energetic, far-sighted, and strong, her family knows she will always be near. Her optimism never wavers, her industriousness never flags. She projects strength and dignity and is confident about the future. Her speech abounds with wisdom, and she soothes with words of kindness. Her children bring her fulfillment, and her whole family sings her virtues, saying, "Many women have excelled, but you surpass them all." Charm is a mask, and beauty is vain. A righteous woman is deserving of praise. It is her handiwork that attests to her merit, and her actions bring her honor. Sheker hachen vehevel hayofi isha yirat Adonai ititala nula mipri yadeha via hallelujah b'sha'arim maseha. Finally, teaching from the modern sage Abraham Joshua Heschel, there are three ways to mourn. The first is to cry, the second is to grow silent, the third is to transform sorrow into song. Esaenai el harim me'ayin yavo esri. Esaenai el harim me'ayin yavo esri. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help will come from Adonai, creator of heaven and earth. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. May Adonai guard your going and your coming, now and forever. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz. On most days we would recite Siduk Hadin, which is the part of the funeral service, but it is not done on festivals. I will just quote one verse from it, which we said together before. God is given, God is taken, praised is God's holy name. Siduk Hadin expresses how we accept God's judgment, right? The way God has made the universe, that we are born and we live and we do die. And we do go on to eternal life, and we accept that, and we love God through all that. So the verse also sort of reflects that. God is given, God is taken, praised is God's holy name. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. The 23rd Psalm may be familiar to some of us. It is a very ancient and beautiful expression of the love and support God gives us throughout our lives, which we believe extends even beyond into the world to come. Some of you may know these words. If you do, you're welcome to join me in the prayer. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Chant those words in the ancient Hebrew. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, bineot deshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev, nafshi yeshovev, yanecheni b'magele tzedek, leman shemo, gam ki elech b'getz al mavet, lo irara, ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha, shivtecha umishantecha, bema yenachamoni, aroch lefanai shulchan neged solerai, dishanta vashemen roshi, osirevaya. Ach tov v'chesed, yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'vet Adonai, v'shavti b'vet Adonai, liorech yamin. May the soul of Josephine Spence dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. One of the differences between funerals on a festival day and funerals on other days is it's not customary to have long eulogies. And we learned of her passing so close to the holiday mark, and we didn't have a chance to prepare a formal eulogy. So I'll just say a few words on behalf of her congregation, which is that we've always cherished her presence and her support and her love these many, many years. She came to shul almost every Shabbat for many, many years, accompanied by loved ones, by her daughter, her granddaughter, by other members of the family. And on holidays, of course, we got to see more of you together with her. But I always try to think of a verse that this morning when I was davening, the verse Karov Adonai l'chol korav. God is close to all those who call upon Him, but especially to those who call upon Him in truth and humility and sincerity. Karov Adonai l'chol korav l'chol asher yiguhu ve'emet. And her sincerity and her humility and her dignity was evident from the moment I met her. I don't know if you know, I met her before you all joined our congregation. She and her sister would come to Hadassah, which happened to be in our shul. So even though they were members of our congregation, I know they were very honored and active members of Rosedale, of the Rosedale Jewish Center. I already knew them, and I was immediately impressed with your mother's her presence, her intelligence, her warmth, her dignity, just shown from the first moments. And then when she decided to become part of our congregation, of course, we were very, very grateful to have her and her whole family with us. And it's been nothing but a blessing for us and for me personally as well. And obviously we've missed her greatly these last couple of years. Failing. It always gave us a little moment of joy to see you on Zoom. These last years when we've done a lot of together on Zoom, and to see her even she was just able to listen. And it was good to have her presence with us. It's been a blessing. There are no words. I know she was revered in this family, mother of 4 children that she held very, very dear, and a great extended family that knew her and loved her and honored her. I hope very much so during her life as well as her passing. And I know that in her professional career also she had a great deal of respect and achievement. We knew of her great work as a scientist, her great contribution to the medical field, and people getting the good care that they needed to get for her work in pathology. Of course, it gave a great deal both to the Jewish community and to the general community. And we're very grateful for her life. We're very saddened by her passing, and my entire congregation sends nothing but love and compassion and comfort to her loved ones. And we mourn your loss along with you. And we pray that her life and her memory will always be a blessing to all of you.
Thank you, Mom.
I invite if any of her children would like to say a few words, you're certainly welcome to do that now.
I'd like to say everyone and my mom, she was amazing. She did things that were just otherworldly. Growing up, we went to Lawrence Jewish Center, and like I said, she was involved with Hadassah from the jump, Boy Scouts, Little League, everything. The neighborhood, things in the library. I mean, my mother was very active. Also about family, all of her family. I remember so many of her family lived with us and came to see us at different times. And she brought everyone in. I mean, she truly followed God's word. I mean, in ways that, like her grandmother, and her father as well. On both sides of the family, she followed those ways that were just kept all of us together. All of us. Yeah. Even amongst fighting, bickering, and also she had a great sense of humor. And both her mother and my aunt. That's so funny. They were so close. I don't know if anybody had a relationship like that. I don't know anybody I can compare to that. People used to think my mother was my aunt and my aunt was my mother, my siblings were my... But it was like that. We actually were like that. Wonderful family. And she left a legacy of being socially aware and helping people socially, keeping peace and making something out of something, looking at that nothing that we call nothing and calling it something. That's what I know. And I miss you, Mommy. But I told my daughter the other day, and my mother used to say that. She says, you know, our ancestors' cells are literally living in. She says, a piece of me is living inside of you, and even ancestors we don't know. So no one really died. I feel sad about that, but you know, they continue to live on. And she says, I live on, and your ancestors live on in all of us. And that's a beautiful thing to think of. And it does alleviate a lot. Yeah. Debbie?
Well, just want to thank everybody for being here. Mom was great. This is a great part. She, as everybody knows, she went out of her way for me. She went out of her way for a lot of family members, and those family members helped me also. So thank you all for coming. It's been great. It's been great. Thank you. Oh, that's it. Love you, Mom. Thank you. That's it.
I'd like to say,
Uncle Bill.
I met this lady. She came home to bury her grandmother, and we spoke for a little bit. And she told me, if I come to this country, I'm welcome at her house. And I came here, and I was with her for like 6 months. I lived with her. I know this lady. She's exceptional. She invites and she take care of just about anybody. I know I used to live close to her, and now we moved to California, and we had to come back for a funeral. So I'm grateful for her and her kids. Even though we're gonna miss her.
I'd like to say that, you know, I don't remember meeting my Aunt Doris because my first memories are mixed in with knowing her, knowing the children. The 4 children is like my brothers and sisters. I want to just show you how socially forward Aunt Doris was. When I was 10 years old, I spent Passover with them. And she took us, and Dara too, she took us to the Jewish National Institute in Manhattan, and we watched a film about the Falasha Jews. Those are the first black Jews in Ethiopia. And it was sometime after that they received national recognition in Israel. Even throughout my adult life, when I speak to other Jewish people and they realize I know so much about the religion, I attribute all of that knowledge and that teaching to my Aunt Doris. So I know she was old, she had to go, but it's like something is leaving from me today too, because I was very close to her and I'm very close to her children. Thank you.
I'd like to say something. I remember in college, I took a couple of health courses, and I asked Mommy to come up there to show the classes slides. She was in histology, and she created slides of different body parts, the lung, different organs, and my topic was about smoking and alcoholism. So she showed cirrhosis of the liver, how it looked before, the healthy liver, the unhealthy, how black it became, and also smoking and the damages to the lungs. And I never, after that, looking at that, I could not smoke, and we barely drank alcohol. But she did it with such a giving heart. She wanted to let people know about nutrition and health, how important it was. And I really thanked her. I thanked her with my whole heart. She just influenced so many people throughout the family. She always spoke about Jamaica. her grandmother, Ma and Ba, and the influences of all family members. We used to pray even when she wasn't as vocal about the different family members throughout the years that she's told us about, because she was so proud of being from Jamaica. Growing up there, she loved it. She loved the culture. And we even went to synagogue for years in Kingston, Jamaica, at the yes, at the historic synagogue in Kingston. And lastly, my mother was. She didn't even take credit for a lot of the things. She said she's in the journal of histology, and still with the pushing, what she did with getting a camera when she worked at Avon. She pushed and she founded Graham because she wanted to show how some of the chemicals cause cancer in women that use those cosmetics. And finally they were not used at Avon, but she said some of the right. And some of the doctors got credit for her work. That was featured in the Journal of Pathology and Histology. But still, she was okay with it just as long as she impacted humanity. Change. She talked about her grandmother and just cleaning the land and planting. No matter what, my mother always had a garden with vegetables and fed us so well, and we grew so tall, and I just am so grateful. It was an honor being her daughter. Sometimes I didn't realize it growing up sometimes. But now that Mommy's gone, it's like, okay, now I have to take that torch. We all do. And yes, I want to thank the rabbi for being here and all my cousins. I love you all so much, Josh. We love you so much. Thank you. Stara.
I want to say thank you to our community for taking care of my children as my mother's niece. And when they came to Jamaica at 4 years old, my mother and my grandmother and my grandfather and the whole family took care of them. And they went to college out there, they went to school out there, went to college, Clarendon College, and then they came back when they were 18, and the father sent them to North Carolina. That's where they get their degree. But my cousins, they both of them was their favorite cousin, and they usually come back to Jamaica and bring stuff for us to take us to the movie or come to the school and talk to the principal about us and everything. Then we come up here and we join them, and everything was good. But what I want to express on is how strong she was and how loving, and you never see her get mad, and she always the peacemaker. And she worked until she was in her 70 odd years old. And one night I was driving down Fulton Street in Utica, and who I saw was my cousin in her little car looking at park. And I said, Cousin Doris, what are you doing here? She was going to work 12-hour shift, 12 to 8 at Sloan Catering. That was the top pathologist in Sloan Catering. She diagnosed the disease that person have and stuff like that. She was so good. At 70 odd years old, she'd drive her car from Lawrence to Utica Avenue, Fulton Street, and park and take the A train. And she gave me so much inspiration and strength. And I have 4 kids, and every time she would come and visit me, bring presents for me, I go over there, I have supper with them in Passover, drinking with the herbs and everything. And I love the Jewish people because I deal with a lot. The rabbis in Borough Park, everything. And so I thank you, Rabbi, and thank the Jewish people for everything you do. Thank you very much.
God bless.
God bless him.
Sure.
Just a quick note. I came here when I was 12, and there's a nurse who I lived with, and Judy and Rich and Dave. I grew up together. And things happen in life, you know, sometimes we part, but we always reconnect. And I want to thank them now because they had a wonderful mom. And because of them, and because of Doris and Daisy, I learned a lot. And I know y'all will carry on the tradition for my kids and my grandchildren to see where we're coming from. I love you guys.
Thank
I
you,
want to say
Paul.
something.
Oh, we're not? Yes.
I want to say something. I met cousin Doris when I was 5 years old in Jamaica. She comes every year and I love her. But I just want you to know how gracious she was. And most of all, she was a godly woman.
Yes.
Woman who cares about people, not about anything else. Just whoever they are, she makes them feel at home. And that's a blessing. That's what God wants us to do, and that's what she did. God bless you.
Just one thing also, to just to echo what Pastor Luke said, that my cousin, she never, always smiling. She never got mad. She was always so gracious. Smiling. That's it. I'm to echo everything. Nobody said this. Most of us that came from Jamaica came up through your mom. I'm one of them. And many of us came through her. She helped me, she helped our mom, she helped cousins, she helped her father, and she helped her father's side of her family. When I came, I was young. She was on Summer Avenue. She's one side, cousin Daisy the other. One from one house to the other, like we were children. Judith, you were small. David, you were a baby. But that's how they lived, and that's how she lived, helping everyone. She turned nobody away. She never. She took me when I first came up as a little child from here to I think Hartford, Connecticut, Jamaica, day after. I didn't know anything about this country. She took me over there to get me an extended stay and said, so you'll stay. So that's a cousin that we have. She and her sister, she can help so many people. We're thankful for all of you for your parents, mom, and your aunts. Because through them, we're all here. So we have to say to all of you, thank you. Thank you. If I didn't say to them, even though I told her a couple of times, now we can say to you, thank you. And I can say it for everybody that's here, thank you.
Thank our Lord.
Dara,
Reggie,
Mommy.
thank you. Thank you, David.
you all.
Love you.
Christopher.
As I'm older now, I was a little kid. I don't remember, but I'm told I was a little kid. I was at Auntie's house, and she was responsible for my baptism. Her responsibility for putting me in school. Again, as you just said, I'm sure she was responsible for helping my mom get over here. And, you know, I'm still learning family history and stuff, but everything I understand, Lady was a beautiful woman. And I say thank you, Auntie, for everything. And my cousins and everybody here, I love you.
no, don't worry. Josephine's passing is mourned by her nearest and dearest and by this beautiful, beautiful extended family. We're blessed with so much of her giving, loving spirit. Both what she did and who she was and how much she gave and what a great example she set for everyone to carry on. Master of the universe, we have, especially in our hearts, her children, Judith, David, Deborah, and Reginald, as well as all of her grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and extended family. We love her very, very dearly, and we'll say a short prayer for all of you. To the Holy One, Creator of men and women, dear God, be gracious to these children of yours who mourn. May the light of your presence dispel the gloom of absence so keenly felt on this sad day. Bless these mourners with your compassion. Empower them with your love. Touch them with the fullness of your heart, that in time they may be granted inner peace. It is said, do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will sustain you with my power. May these mourners find comfort in one another's love and in the support of their loved ones and family, friends, and community, as well as in your ever-present love, dear God. Amen.
Amen.
I invite you all to take a few moments of quiet to say your own personal farewell to, we called her Josephine, and cousin Doris, Josefa, to pray for her well-being in the world to come. We just have a few moments of quiet prayer.